What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm doing another anniversary. It's the 35th anniversary of Cheetah. Cheetah. Or, as one really odd preview that's out there for this film is Cheetah and Friends. So, depending on where you live, maybe it had the "and Friends" attached to it. Maybe that was like another country thing, like the UK. Sometimes movies have slightly different titles, but in America it was just Cheetah. Yep. I saw this film as a kid, so there's one of my favorite critics, YouTube critics out there, Breakfast All Day, they do this thing, is it great or were you eight? And I feel like this is the perfect film that if I was going to do that. I wouldn't have been eight when this film came out, but you get the point. Uh, it's kind of that, and I kind of like I loosely remember seeing this as a kid, but not a lot. I'm not even really sure I liked this film that much as a kid because there are certain films from my childhood that I remember watching over and over and over and over, and then there were certain films I'm like, yeah, I saw that as a kid. Why didn't I see that more than once? You know, like, I'm just like I. And to be fair, to a lot of the comments that I'm saying, by the way, this film does have audio description on Disney, and so does Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which also came out in 1989. So fair game for everything I'm about to say, because when we talk about, well, it was 1989, what is your expectation? I just want to remind everybody, came out the same year as Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So, uh, yeah. Um, so Cheetah stars Keith Coogan, really the only recognizable name to anybody 35 years later, who plays the brother in this brother-sister duo from Los Angeles who have to follow their parents to Africa. And mom and dad got a grant. There's some sort of vague uh, scientist, researcher people. Everybody in here is horribly underdeveloped. The movie's about 80 minutes long, so it runs as fast as Cheetah does. Um, and they this film was filmed. This movie was filmed in Kenya, so it was filmed on location for most of it, anyway. Uh, and they go and they're there, and they find this cub that's been abandoned because his mom is dead. And they take the cub, the cheetah cub, and they raise it, but they raise it for like all of like 3 minutes before the film, like it fast forwards. It's like the most interesting part of the film that you're like, oh, well, I'm sure that's probably why I liked it, because cheetah cubs are cute and you can work with a cheetah cub, whereas a full-fledged cheetah is harder to train and keep around child actors. But like a cheetah cub, not so much. I'm sure there's still like, some American Humane Society is going to come in and be like, you can't use cubs that way. I'm like, yeah, but you can fucking hold them in scenes or show them like playing in a corner. I feel like this film should have had a lot more cheetah cub in it than actual cheetah. And that's part of the reason why there's like barely a runtime to this. So, um, there's this really awkward scene where mom and dad are arguing. They're like, you can't keep the cheetah cub. And then like in the next scene, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you talked us into letting you keep the cheetah cub. it's just like, they just fast forward through time. They just like, and I want to go back in time and be like, you guys know that that's like the part that creates the memes, right? Like the thing that people like is going to be the thing with the cute cheetah cub. Work within your means, right? Work within your American Humane Society certification, but I can't imagine that you can't shoot that cheetah cub like playing with some toys or something, and then the kid's like watching it. Do whatever you can, but that the cub needed to be on screen a lot longer than it was. So it's growing up, and they also have to move, and then I'm just gonna call them villains because I don't conceptually understand what it is they want from life. They're not poachers, more like thieves. So they want the cheetah because they want to essentially do like greyhound racing. This feels like the whitest movie ever, by the way. This feels like how white people interpret Africa. Uh, I am so sorry. On behalf of white people, I apologize for this movie. So they have African people who come in. This movie is rated G, so I guess poaching would have been. But then again, they show animal deaths in G-rated movies, so I mean, those nature documentaries and everything. Yeah, those are I don't know, but yeah, they want to take Duma away. I have more thoughts on that, by the way, in the end, and so that he can do greyhound racing, essentially. Uh, anyway, so as the parents want to leave, the kids don't because they want to go rescue Duma, and they leave and they trek across Africa and they find this other uh, in in the in the horrible trailer that I saw for this, it called him pint-sized hero. Uh, it's like, they're all kids, all three of them. Why is he pint-sized? Anyway, um, so they find like a little African child who helps them navigate through the African landscape. And they do things like, they're like, termites. They're still alive. I don't want to eat that. And so I don't know. It's eventually, obviously, they get back to their cheetah after trekking through. This movie does not sit on anything for very long. So again, 80-minute movie, in and out. They get to the cheetah, release the cheetah. There's a scene where even after they've established how fast the cheetah is, the bad guy starts like running from the cheetah, and it's like, girl, please. Anyway, and then the movie has that happy ending, but it's unearned because the kids have actually spent so little time with the cheetah, with Duma, that like farewell at the end, we're like, just go, Duma. Just go live with your people. I mean, your cats or your family. You don't have family because they died, and that's why we couldn't just go. Just leave. Like that scene doesn't work at all. Like the sister's like crying. It's just like, it doesn't work because it's not earned. Basically, they found a cub. We fast forwarded, and then they tried to cross Africa and release the cheetah from greyhound racing. Movie over. And then like they have this emotional, they're like, oh, just go, and then done. And in the meantime, they also sing Hakuna Matata, which is a real thing, by the way. So in case you're wondering where that song came from, or is that a real phrase? Are those real words? Did Elton John just come up with that? Does anybody in Africa actually say Hakuna Matata? I would say 5 years before, in the movie Cheetah, they use the same phrase, and there's a song. It's not the same song. That would be really creepy if it was. But it's a completely different song that has the phrase Hakuna Matata in it. And I believe the little boy said it, too. So Hakuna Matata is all of this movie. And I don't know if it still means no worries for the rest of your days in this, but it is in this, and it is used. So the acting is very even Keith Coogan, who I like, by the way, and who had a lot of solid stuff in the 80s. Toy Soldiers is I have a soft spot for that film. But also, like, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Adventures in Babysitting. So yeah, he had a couple of really sort of classic late 80s, early 90s movies. But this felt very cheap to me, and it has not been preserved. And anyway, like I said, one of the reasons I brought up Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is because I also did a 35th anniversary review of that this year. That film held up. It doesn't feel like it's degraded so terribly over time. Cheetah feels like it's been sitting in a garbage bin somewhere, and then they were like, oh, we have a streaming service. We should put Cheetah on there. It just feels like it's not the same quality. Like, it wasn't shot the same quality. It feels older than it should for the year in which it was made. When you think about other films that were made in that time period, Cheetah feels like it was made in 1979 instead of 1989. It just, um, like, you could backdate that about 10 years. I kind of said the same thing about The Black Hole. I was like, when you consider about where we were at the time that that movie came out, it feels way older than its contemporaries. So Cheetah also feels like it doesn't match with 1989. It doesn't feel like that's the year in which, if you had to guess, if I showed this to somebody and it was like, what year do you think this came out? I don't think people would guess 1989. So I didn't really enjoy the score. I thought a lot of it was kind of cheesy. So in the world of, is it great or were you 8? I think I was 8. Yeah, and I've admitted this before. I have a soft spot for a lot of films that I give films a higher grade because nostalgically they still work for me. This didn't work for me. And I hadn't explored this in a long time. Whereas like Blank Check, I think I had watched it since I was a kid, and that I realized just how, I saw a lot of the holes in that movie, and it didn't quite hold up in the way the nostalgia bubble didn't protect it. But this one feels like there is no nostalgia bubble around it. Like, I did see it, but then I'm watching it again, and I'm just like, I can't with this movie. So I didn't like Cheetah. Would you kids like it? I don't know. Are you gonna be able to get your kids to watch a 35-year-old movie that's feels like it's 45 years old? Good luck. And maybe if they like cats, or they're like big cats, or they're really into cheetahs, or you have a really nostalgic kid who's getting really into Keith Coogan and is going through his filmography. Nobody else here really has anything remarkable in their filmography, so it's kind of him. Or I don't know. There's also a movie called Duma, which came out later on, which I never saw, but I realized it was out there. And then when I heard that this cheetah was called Duma, I was super interested. So I don't know how close those films are to each other. Cheetah is based off of a book called The Cheetahs, which is when you realize, I would say based is a strong word, loosely inspired, in the way that, like, dude was walking through an airport and read like the jacket of a book and was like, oh, I can make that into a movie with white people. Let's do that. It's a movie about like an African family that was raising like 2 cheetah cubs and has to protect them from like a poacher or something like that. And that's not what this movie is. I love also that they, instead of an African family, it's like an actual African family. That it's this like white Los Angeles family that has to protect the cheetah in Africa. So I don't know if there's anything really positive to say about this film. Let me know in the comments if you have anything positive to say about Cheetah. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear like the flip side argument of Cheetah, about why Cheetah. Don't give me like you're old. 30 years ago, 30 years ago, I thought I loved this movie too. Have you seen it recently though? That's the big question. So yeah, this film didn't hold up for me, and I'll give it like a little nudge up. I'll give it like a couple bonus points for, if I had been a kid in 1989, I'm sure I like this, but there's also, I think there's a reason why I don't remember watching this over and over. I don't think I loved it that much. I think it worked as like a one-off. If you would ask me as a kid, like I loved the Ninja Turtles movie, but I didn't like the third one as much as the 1 and 2. So like even as a kid, I had like a hierarchy, and this was not in the hierarchy. So I'm just going to go sort of neutral in the middle and say I'm giving Cheetah a C. The audio description feels like it was recorded 40 years ago, like before the movie. It's balanced horribly. There's a lot of audio ducking, which is very unlike Disney films, But then again, the sound quality of the actual film itself is bad, but the audio quality of the audio description isn't great. Nothing here really worked for me in that experience. There's some times where, even with audio ducking, I had a hard time hearing the audio description. It's it was weird because it's like the sound volume was constantly changing, where you get that like, what's louder, what's softer, what's louder, what's softer. Uh, and still with that, there were times that I couldn't understand what the audio description was saying. And it sounded old. It sounded like it was degraded, just as much as the film was. I don't know if maybe Disney did like a VHS audio description back in the day for this, and then instead of doing new audio description, they just kind of like ripped it and then put it on. It would not surprise me. But this is one of those things that you just be grateful, I guess, because I don't think Disney is in any sort of pressure to do new audio description for Cheetah. But don't be excited about it. Anyway, I just, maybe that's unfair. Maybe it was, there's no way this was recorded in the last 10 years. I refuse. If somebody tried to tell me I recorded this in 2018, I'd be like, you're a liar. No, you did not. Nobody recorded this in 2018. This was recorded at least 15 to 20 years ago, for sure. Bare minimum, if not 25 to 30. So, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the other side.